We have a massive New York Rangers trade update to go over today, as a new report from an NHL insider has revealed that the Rangers are going all in a move that no one saw coming. We're going to break down what that move is, and we got some confirmation as to Chris Drury's plans this free agency and what's coming on July 1st, because this New York Rangers team is going to look completely different in just a week's time. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 77% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with the New York Rangers, go down below, hit that free subscribe button, because this is the place to be for all your daily New York Rangers content. But Bret, let's jump right into it. A couple reports today that I did not see coming, especially one that we are going to start with, and it is honestly absolutely shocking. And again, Elliotte Friedman, obviously every Monday drops his 32 Thoughts podcast and has some insight for what's going to happen, for the week that is to come. And obviously now that the Stanley Cup has been awarded, there's a lot of different things happening. And of course, the draft, free agency coming this weekend. And Elliotte Friedman saying that he's told that the Rangers have explored multiple trade-up possibilities, with James Hagens being the player of interest. So now, and again, as you can see in the report below, Friedman believes that the Rangers are one team that wants to move up during the draft. Now, this is insane. We don't even know if the Rangers are keeping their pick, first of all, this year. We're going to get into that as well. But what's your initial thoughts on this? Let's get into this first. We'll break down some of the other details, because I didn't see this coming whatsoever.
Yeah, my initial thoughts, Darius. First of all, happy Monday. We love Elliotte Friedman's 32 Thoughts podcast, because it always gives us something to talk about heading into the start of the work week. And look, we were talking about it yesterday. We said, we expected something to come out here Monday, whether it was Monday morning, Monday afternoon. It was just not what I expected to come out, which is that the Rangers are exploring trade-up possibilities, and the Rangers always seem to find themselves in the news, in the headlines this offseason, because like you have said, Darius, Chris Drury has his hand in the cookie jar. He is in on everything, and he is in on everything to improve this team, whether it is retaining our own free agents, bringing in outside free agents, making trades, or looking at these draft prospects coming up here. And what we're about to dive into here today, a couple of things. You mentioned Gavrikov, and obviously James Hagens here. It's a bit conflicting, because Chris Drury has spoken about wanting to bring in more youth, wanting to bring in more speed, making sure we're financially flexible. And what we see here with James Hagen, an 18-year-old, we haven't heard about the Rangers trading up in the draft until today, really. And that is really in line with bringing in more youth, bringing in skaters who can really skate on the ice very, very fluidly, and he is a great skater indeed. And then when we talk about a Gavrikov, we talk about an older player who is listed at 29 years old, but let's not get it twisted. He will be 30 years old, and another 30-year-old aging star, quite frankly. So I am excited to get into Hagens here, because he would certainly be a big pickup for the Rangers and someone with top six potential, Darius.
Absolutely. And as you can see here on a lot of different, this is Bob McKenzie's draft board, and I just brought it up just for reference, but on a lot of draft boards, I mean, some people have him going as high as 1 to the Islanders, right? So there is a lot to like from this player. Obviously a great season in Boston College. He is a New York State native as well. So there's obviously a lot of people are playing into that obviously the Islanders might want him for that reason. And a lot of people are also speculating, Bret, that this might be something where, certain teams are floating these ideas to the media that, so the Islanders end up making a move. There is something to that as well, because a lot of that is happening around this time of year, of course. But James Hagen, I mean, the Rangers, and again, I flashed it up on screen here, the Rangers have until 7 p.m. this Wednesday to decide on whether they're giving this year's pick to the Penguins or not, if they're going to defer it, basically. So that's going to be interesting, something to keep an eye on as well. And if they decide to pick it or keep it, I think that's very interesting. And if they want to move up, like I just flashed on screen, again, you're going to have to move up at least 7 spots here, at least, if you want to draft James Hagen. So that is very interesting. Didn't expect that this year. Like I popped up on screen, he had a great season in Boston College. He had 37 points in 37 games. Again, I will maintain that it's much harder to score in college and university hockey than it is maybe the OHL or some other junior leagues. So he had a fantastic season for sure. But any final thoughts on this? Because again, I didn't see this coming. It could be something where, like we discussed and like you mentioned earlier in the video, Chris Drury just has his hand in every single cookie jar. Like every WhatsApp conversation between every GM in the league right now, he is in that chat. So, obviously there's a lot going on. I think that, there's another guy we're going to get into in a second that's much more likely and is looking very likely. But this is something I did not see coming whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. And my final thoughts is yet another Boston College connection there.
Yes.
With James Hagens. And, we're going to get into, we're going to be doing our homework here, taking our notes on these prospects. Like I said, this kind of came out of the blue. Didn't expect this rumor to come out from Elliot Friedman on his 32 Thoughts podcast. But I took a few notes here, Darius, because I wanted to touch up on my homework here with James Hagens. And you already mentioned it. You mentioned 37 points in 37 games at Boston College, which is not an easy thing to do, like you alluded to, but also 102 points in 58 USHL games, not too shabby. Led all scorers at the 2024 Under-18 World Championship with a record 22 points and MVP honor. So this is a young kid that has done it at every level. Obviously not the NHL level yet, but he has done it at every level he's been at. He is an elite skater, like I've spoken about. He is an elite playmaker. And the Rangers, you look at some of these teams, Tampa Bay, for instance, that went on that long run, especially that 3-year run with 2 Stanley Cups. Now we see Florida, same thing, this 3-year stretch with 2 Stanley Cup championships. And both those teams had very fast skaters, and they also had, you don't have to be an elite speed skater to be an elite skater. He just has great acceleration. He's very fluid on the ice, James Hagens. And like I said, he is produced at every level. So I like to see that the Rangers are involved here. What we're about to talk about is more likely, like you said, Darius, but it is good to see that the Rangers are doing their homework, looking to improve any way they can this offseason.
Absolutely. And one thing to keep in mind with this player as well that a lot of people are going to point out, I'm sure, in the comments, yes, he's a little bit smaller, but he's also a little bit older. He has a late birthday, so he's actually a 2006 born. So that's something to keep in mind, too, with some of the other prospects that are available. But again, it's going to be difficult for the Rangers, like I just showed here, to pop up to maybe the top 5 potentially. I think there's only 2 teams in the top 8 that would consider trading their draft pick in the top 8 picks. So it's going to be very interesting to see if they're able to do that. Less likely for sure, but Chris Drury, when he fixates on something, he likes to get it done. But like I mentioned, something else to get into and something that is almost confirmed at this point. Elliot Friedman on his written 32 Thoughts was saying that Gavrikov is not believed to have a long list of places he wants to go if he leaves Los Angeles, which is why so many people are pointing to the Rangers. Not only that, there was a little bit of an older report, but there's some new stuff from this morning that basically a lot of teams around the league are actually expecting Gavrikov to go to the New York Rangers. That's what they're hearing at this point. A lot of GMs, I'm sure, are checking in with agents, all of that around this time of year. And the word right now is that Gavrikov is coming to New York. And not only that, I saw another report that he might be open to coming for around $7 million, which I think would be an absolute steal based on everything we've been talking about and contract projections. And the fact that I think it's a no-brainer, like Statboy Stevens saying here, at 7.5. Yes, the end of the contract might look bad, but we know how Chris Drury can get out from under those over the last 24 months or so. But I think it's a good move if it ends up happening, especially around that dollar amount. Makes perfect sense to me. It's looking more and more likely by the day. They have the cap space to make it work. If they trade Carson Soucy, basically that his entire cap hit goes to Will Cooley. You still have $13 million to work with. This just makes all the sense in the world to me, Bret.
Yeah, and look, good player, bad move, Darius. I disagree when I disagree when it comes to Gavrikov. I'm not gonna, I'm gonna keep my stance firm here and not gonna change. Gavrikov, he is a good player. I can't deny that. I can't sit here and tell you this is a bad player because he's not. He's the best defenseman on the market, in my opinion. I've spoken about Provorov, who I really am against, but Gavrikov, I would be more open to if the Rangers bring him in. The production is there. The durability is there. I really take a liking to that durability factor, which I've spoken about in many videos because it tends to go overlooked, Darius. In the National Hockey League, it is very difficult to play all 82 games, which Gavrikov seems to do year in and year out. And you mentioned his ice time when we were off air. This is a guy that was playing over 23 minutes a night on the Los Angeles Kings, a very good team in the loaded Western Conference, a playoff team. And look, the Stars just love coming to Broadway, Darius. That's what it is. And Gavrikov has a short list. It seems like the Rangers may be the only team on that list, like you've alluded to, if it's not the LA Kings. And I can't wrap my mind around it, Darius. Like I said, I would support him once he gets here. He's a good player, but I'm tired of Chris Drury having to get out underneath these contracts. Enough is enough. I can't do another long-term contract to a 30-year-old player at 7.5 AAV. I just can't buy it, Darius. I can't buy it. Like I said, he's a big fish in a small pond here this offseason. He is going to get an inflated contract because of this free agent class. And, he's the best defenseman available, clearly. There's just not much else there, and that is the problem. And when it comes to the Rangers, Darius, we need to be forward-thinking. Panarin, there's no guarantees he's here next year. Probably won't be here next year. Mika, who knows? Kreider, just traded. What's the point of bringing in Gavrikov? We're not a move away. We're simply not a move away. We could do something else. I'm going to pass on Gavrikov, but if the Rangers get him, I'll support it. It's a good player, and I know a lot of Rangers fans will be happy. I'm just not in that camp.
Yeah, and I think you make a good point that the Rangers, I think we can all see it, that they're not a move away. I do think that Gavrikov would make them much better instantly. I do absolutely believe that. But again, you're looking at probably a long-term contract, a 6 or 7 year contract that would take him to 36, 37 years old. So those are all things you have to consider. But I think the problem is with what you just said in terms of Chris Drury is that he believes that there may be 2 or 3 moves away when that might not be true either, right? And I think that they have to continue to get younger and more feisty as well. They have to get some players for the bottom of their lineup that are pretty scrappy, like we've seen that works with the Florida Panthers and other teams who've won the Stanley Cup. So it's going to be interesting to see what he ends up doing. I do think there's been a lot of smoke around Gavrikov and the Rangers for months at this point, so I do think that actually does end up happening, whether everyone likes it or not. I am curious to see everyone's thoughts. I do think in the immediate he will help the team and will be a good partner for Adam Fox, but like you alluded to, you're looking 6 years down the road. That's going to be tough. You have to get out from under another bad contract, right? So lots to consider. But the James Hagens thing, very, very interesting. And I think the Rangers are poised to make a move that nobody saw coming by the end of the week. And we're going to have you covered here for everything on the channel. So let us know how you feel in the comments. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.